If 2020 were to have taught me anything, it is the incredible power of nature, this red ribbon lifeline running through and between each lockdown to lockdown, these havens of peace she offers from each sun up to sundown. Never again will I take her for granted. Never again will I lose sight of what she stands for. Never again will I choose to sit on my arse in front of a screen when I could be stomping my way through the mud and the green. Because nature has healed my heart and she has opened my mind. For when you sit in the midst of her, there you will find this expansion of peace, this headspace miles wide, and connecting you to the world in a completely different sense of time. In 2020, I swam in lakes and I cruised down canals and I strode my way up and down beaches with no endpoint in mind. I stuck beers in the sand as I gazed again upon sunsets and took stock of my lot while my heart mended bloodshed. I shared coffees in parks, socially distanced, with friends dearest to me. I danced my way through the forest, feet spraying arcs of golden leaves. I spent lunchtime after lunchtime basking in the green of my local park's arms, a second home, so serene. And I took up a new hobby, a penchant for running, and as my feet crossed the tarmac to grass, I felt a becoming at one with the world that lives outside of our cities, where the air freshens spirits and the body does healing. On the days when it's wet, I lament the lost chance to return to the world full of green that enchants. I miss the fresh air, the feeling connected to a place, not a screen, where I see with perspective. So this is my oath to the great Mother Nature. Never again will I take you for granted. I will savor the drops of your story that blend into mine. The power of your presence is nothing short of divine. But there's a whole other poem that could be written with sadness on how we receive her well-being, yet we give nothing back. Yes, we take and we push and upset her with our selfish resistance to change for the better. The oceans are rising and the heat is turned on, but so long as we've our conveniences, what in our lifetime could go wrong? I think COVID was sent as a message, a signal to rein all our shit in, tend to the fire we've kindled, to the fact that we need nothing more than the simple. We are our own enemies here, loading our own global missiles. Because if we don't heed the messages, you can bet we're on the precipice of an irreversible negligence where beloved nature perishes. This time bomb is ticking. This is just the beginning of a future forbidding the thought of which is quite sickening. So if 2020 taught me anything, it's that if we truly love forests and find refuge in parks, and the hills give us peace while the lakes fill our hearts, then we must collectively make a bit more of an effort to preserve what we have and not let our guard down again. We need to slow the fuck down and stop consuming so mindlessly, being a good little recycler, but frequent flyers in Antilogy. If you need to make purchases, make them sustainable, sourced from responsible businesses and made from ethical materials. Move most of your diet towards the plant-based variety because this world's just not big enough to farm for our bone-crunching society. Use less water, reduce waste, make your travels responsibly, and write to your politician to ask that they make our environment a priority. The list could go on, but I'll leave you with this. How many more generations will come before they can't experience the bliss of the fresh air on mountains and the green between cities, or clean water to swim in while they holiday at beaches? Let 2020 be a lesson that we don't need as much as we thought, that we need love, health, and shelter, and we need nature a lot. And that the power and onus is on us to do something of thanks to make sure nature doesn't wither by our own unintentional hands. Thank you. That was poem one. And the second one, you might recognize the title. It's Identity. A theme of the slam last month or the month before. It's a poem that I wrote and never read out, so it has a loose link to nature, and I thought rather reuse these words and save me the job of writing a second one about nature. So I hope you enjoy it. Our identities reach down to roots that go deeply. roots grown from seeds, seeds once so small, small enough to be sown inside the littlest pockets of soil, and it is there where they tuck themselves into beds full of promise, beneath covers of ground made unique to every one of us, waiting to evolve and develop their essence, an essence defined by our acts, thoughts, and temperaments. My identity is now a garden. She is lush, she is wild, vivid, strong, resilient, and so very much alive. My garden is a rich vignette dressed in all kinds of greens, deliberately curated to reflect the different parts of me. My identity is a garden, inextricably linked with past, born of experiences and guidance. She grows tall and wide in abundance. She grows full to the brim of the places I've been, the love I have given, and the joy I've received. My identity is a garden, watered lovingly by my mother, by my father, by their fathers, their sisters, and by their brothers, cousins, friends, strangers, lost ones, and lovers, and countless other ties that stretch out to many others. Together, they blend mixes of mindsets and culture, a historical, familial, serendipitous chronicle. This network connecting so many differing views can be seen in my garden in her vast variety of hues. But my identity is a garden, so I had to learn how to tend, for no one else can ever teach you what your garden should represent. So I had to make the mistakes, then had to reflect and repent, and so slowly, I shaped my little garden myself. I weeded out the root rot, past traumas and blind spots. My dark hands became one as I cleaned out my ground from the beliefs and old scenes that no longer served me. As I nurtured my garden, I worked with her gently. An imperative task was to identify gaps between what I believe and how I actually act. I swallowed tough pills, said my sorries, released pain, and importantly, I accepted and I made sure I forgave, and I thanked the past me's for all their contributions, for being part of a journey and for guiding my future. And sometimes I take cuttings from my garden grown wise and hand them carefully to friends and invite them to try, grow their own kind of garden with the fruits of my own. But these gifts are just passing, no obligation to grow. My identity is a garden, but she's a shape-shifting beast. Sometimes she grows little surprises I did not consciously place. So it is important to pay attention and take time with intention to keep out the weeds that might grow unattended. For my garden, my identity is a garden that houses my values. And here stands the list by which I live out my life to. I am patient, I am kind, I am honest, I am light, I am smart, I am humble, I am witty, I am vulnerable, I am brave, I am strong, I am modest, I am warm, I am calm, I am trusting, I am Lucie, I am loving. Thank you.